We're back.
We're defeated.
Defeated. That's the worst feeling. But we always go back and play it again. So
yeah, this is anyways, so I guess like we start everything off, we'll let you know what we give the game. Pretty much like super like this. As at this point in time, I would probably say this is probably my favorite deck builder I have played. I have played a lot of them, but this thing is fantastic. It was a Kickstarter. I'm super sad that I didn't kickstart it. You know, I wouldn't say there was a ton of extra stuff, but there was extra mage, there was 2 extra villains. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go spend eBay prices to get them, but I can't say that I didn't wish that I had them. And it was a reasonable Kickstarter too. It wasn't over expensive. So before we get into the details, my rating is fantastic. I love it.
Yes, I enjoy it a lot as well. And what I just realized was it's kind of like Sentinels of the Multiverse.
It is in a way, but not quite as finicky.
Right.
In terms of the keeping track of the villains is super easy in this.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and I ended up after playing it, I bought the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and when he said he was going to order it, I said tack on the expansion for me, just because I know that this thing will see play. The second that I learned it, I showed it to him. I also showed it to another friend, and it's gotten positive responses from everybody that's played. So that being said, run down some of the stuff that we like about it. Thematically, I think it's awesome. You really do feel like you're trying to fend off stuff.
Like
and
mages have to prep their spells before they actually go off. That's exactly what this is. You're prepping a spell, and then your next turn it will go off.
Yep. So you have to do your, like, you know, if you're playing D&D, you know, you have I have to take so many hours before I can cast spells. Blah blah blah. That's kind of what they're making you do here. Also with like the breaches, basically it's like, okay, again, I have to spend time studying before I'm good enough to be able to handle more than my beginning spell levels.
That's one thing you need to study when you're young, because you should not be studying in the middle of a monster fight.
Well, sometimes you don't have a choice. You saw us play totally random. There's a little bit better synergy with the 2 things they give you in the book, but there's, you know, kind of the element of surprise and trying to think through the scenario when you are going totally random is cool too. That's why we wanted you to see this.
I was really thinking that we were doing very well with the with not having healing. It got to a point where I was like, man, we might actually be able to beat this thing, and then we just got
but this just, I mean, wow. Once you got deeper into her deck, that was just really, really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the levels over here and the feel of trying to, you know, most of the games, well, I don't know about, most is probably not the best word, but having the town and the monster really gives it a better thematic theme, in my opinion. The cards seem relatively balanced. You really got to keep on your toes, though, with only having 10 life. And like
keep
Jeff
it on
said,
your toes. You got to do a lot of stuff, because it's not. You've got a deck build. You've got to thin your deck. You've got to protect the town. You got to attack the nemesis, attack the minions, resolve all the stupid cards, and then open breaches, cast spells. You're doing all kinds of stuff, and it feels like you can't do it all. And that's one thing I hate about.
I almost feel like in this situation that I might have. Beginning of the game focused a little bit more on this 3rd breach, because by the time it got later in the game, I needed resources to do other things. Not that I wasn't able to manipulate some stuff pretty well, but I just feel like having that 3rd one open might have helped a little bit. What else?
My mistake was keeping those charges, but then it wasn't really a mistake until I flip the card that said you lose all your charges in 4 life.
No,
so I couldn't really do anything ahead of time.
The other things that I think are spectacular is I absolutely love that turn order deck. I mean, it's literally...
that was one of the coolest things I've seen in a while.
And maybe it's been done in different games. I just haven't seen it exactly like that. But it really feels like a role-playing game in terms of you're rolling for initiative is basically what you're doing with that deck. You're shuffling it up. Basically, that's a self-contained dungeon master knowing what the turn order is going to be after the initiative rolls, and there it is. And it changes every battle, just like in a role-playing game. I enter a new round or battle, initiative changes again. And that's the order. And that order can really be a lifesaver or screw you over big time. I mean, you saw a couple times if you watched the gameplay, she goes twice, and that's really bad news because you have very, very little time to recover from that.
Especially with her swarming. Like, if she swarms and then spawns and swarms, you're just in trouble.
Yeah. And keep in mind, we're only talking about her.
Yeah.
Rageborn is... he starts smacking you with that strike deck, and then just the fact is that if one of his really bad strikes come up, knowing that it might come up again the very next time because you just reshuffled the deck. We haven't played the other monsters. There's 2 other ones, so there's a really good variety there.
There's one guy who eats the cards in the town that you buy from. I want to play against that one. That sounds pretty fun.
I think that in there one that and puts dead cards in your hand too.
Yeah, that's
or something
the other
like that.
one. Yeah.
So they did all these monsters feel different with the way that you can manipulate the market. They're the progressively harder enemy deck instead of just putting kind of medium cards in and shuffling them all together. Having it like, oh, they went again, and and there's not very many ones.
Yeah.
And
when I was looking at it, I was like, man, we got to the 2s really quick.
Yep. And it's just the mages. So far from as many times as I've played, I feel like I don't want to play that mage. Mm-hmm. Their powers are all good in their own right.
The one you were playing with, when I heard the ability of being able to put a player card back into the turn order deck, I was like, we need to break that as fast as we can. And it's just so hard because you have to get 5 charges. Except
the one thing is, which I'm sure somebody that's played this game is going to point out, which I just realized now that I'm talking to you. We didn't. Every time we did it, we didn't take a damage. So I would still be alive though.
I'd still be dead.
That might have.
It would have ended it earlier because we did it twice or 3 times.
I thought I did it to myself twice. Did we ever do it to you? Yeah.
I thought you did it to me once.
Well, so what? You still would have had one at that point in time.
Right.
The only thing that it might have affected is when the lower health was. So apologize for that. Again, we wanted to see. I won't make that mistake again when I played it, just because I just, did it, saw it and remembered. But if you're watching another one and commenting about it, you didn't watch the review because we caught ourselves. We did it wrong, but you saw it still kicked our butt.
Yeah.
No matter what, it might have kicked us earlier. Can't remember if Jeb did it once, anyways. But until he lost a ton of life, he probably still would have been alive. I don't know how much it affected the game.
Because I had 3 when I lost the 4 to go exhausted.
So you might. So. I'm pretty sure we didn't. At least me twice, and maybe you once. Yeah. So maybe I'm down another one, or you're down one. But regardless, the thing steamrolled us this time.
Yep.
If we knew if we were going to play against this particular monster again, I think I might house rule it that we get at least 1 healing card into play to have a chance.
The last game when we played with the predetermined, or the one that you get when you start, it came with 1 that healed Greyport and 1 that healed people, I think. So
the one
at least you could manage that for a little bit.
Granted, it was only 1 at a time, and the Greyhold one the Gravehold one you had to destroy to actually put it back up.
Right.
But depending on how the game's going, you kind of know when to trigger it.
Yeah.
Anyways, the cards seem really cool. So, like, who wouldn't like it?
People who don't like deck builders.
People
Because
that
this
don't like
just
deck builders.
stacks onto deck builders.
Yeah.
If you don't like deck building, you're not going to like doing more stuff on top of it. So. And if you don't like co-op games.
Oh, yeah, deck builder and co-op is almost the only thing I can think of to say not try this game.
Right.
Deck builder, co-op, or if you don't like the fantasy/mage theme.
Oh, yeah,
those would be the only things that I would say that to me would deter. I would say, well, then don't even bother. Otherwise, I would say try this game, and I would almost tell anybody that is a gamer if you haven't. But
Yeah, if you haven't like branched out in all the deck builders, like trying different deck builders, this is definitely something to try because it's different than other ones I've played.
Legendary gets a lot of hype. I mean, I've only played regular Legendary. I don't have all the other ones, which I like, but I would play this over that. So, aside from those three things, I can't. That's my opinion. That's the only people that I would say don't play this game. Everything else, I would gladly teach somebody how to play this game.
Oh yeah. This is a lot of fun, I think.
Okay.
Things to remember.
Things to remember. Cast first. I always do that. I looked down and I went, oh, I didn't cast. Really easy to rewind to make it so it is. If you're paying attention to your deck and everything. And
doing all the Nemesis stuff in order.
Just
make sure you keep track of where you're at, because sometimes, like Mickey pointed out once, he was like, we still have stuff to do, and I was like, yeah, that was only the first card.
Exactly.
So
you get ahead of yourself because you've already, so much has occurred, and you're like, oh, all I did was resolve the minion, not even done yet.
Yeah.
So that can happen easily. Don't forget a bot card directly into discard, not in, and I like to play my cards to the side so I know what I played. And then
I get into the habit of putting it straight to the discard, and then you told me once or twice the first time we played, and I was like, oh yeah, I do need to do that to the side so I can rearrange and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people will tend to go, I have three, keep them in their hand, and things can get messed up. I like to literally take it out of my hand and put it down. Those are my played cards. Then I can make sure everything's going in the discard. That's how I like to do it. You got anything else?
Aside from us not doing the ability, just make sure you read your ability completely.
Right. Yeah, we did
every
mess
game.
up on mine. I really don't. I mean, Jeb will probably know when he goes back through it, and he'll put a pop-up on this thing now that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
don't forget to do it. How bad we messed it up. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but anyways, we're just pointing it out so you know. I guess my only negative thing about this game, now keep in mind, I don't know how big Action Phase is or whatever, and it was a Kickstarter. I don't know how big it is. The card quality in this, if you like this game, get sleeves immediately. They're just not that good. I played like one game, and some of the stuff started, chipping away at the black or whatever. They're just not high quality. They're not the worst thing I've ever seen, but in a deck building game, this isn't like, oh, I'm just gonna, I'm not just drawing a card off the stack and stuff.
Right.
You're shuffling, you're mixing them up, you're going into the box, you don't know what you're gonna play, blah blah blah. Just buy sleeves. Just buy the sleeves. They're standard size cards. Just a regular size thing of clear Ultra Pro will work, but I can't recommend that highly enough because they're not top tier. The rest of the components, they're cardboard. They're fine. Are they the best I've ever seen? No, but you're not killing them either. You're not. It's not high. I mean, who cares what this is like? The little death things or health or anything else. They're perfectly fine. These are kind of flimsy. I actually thought this game will probably see a lot of play is laminating these.
The breaches.
Yeah. just so they don't get all bent up and everything. But because I'm not going to get a sleeve for that. But if I laminated it, that would be pretty nice. That's nice and thick. These are nice and thick. So that's about the only negative I have about this game.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add negative-wise. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Jeb was probably like, why does Mickey keep telling me you need to play this game? Because as soon as I played it, I was like, Jeb.
Well, you were talking about it, and then I guess you played it without me knowing you played it, and you were like...
I did.
I was already... Oh, yeah.
I told him I got it because somebody had recommended it to me, and then I played it, and I was like, I'm so glad they recommended it to me, and then I couldn't stop talking about it until Jeb came over and made him play, and then he ordered it, so you can see, I mean, it just... I don't know what else to say. We just think it's that
Definitely
good.
give it a shot if you get the chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was only, like $35 or so.
Yeah, it's not really expensive, and we haven't even got to play with multiple players. And we actually talked about this earlier. We actually wondered if it might even be harder with the turn order because if everybody has to go, that if I have a super prep spell, it's got to come all the way back around. And in the 2-player game, at least I know I'm going to go again almost immediately.
The cards that let you cast other people's spells,
probably
those are going to be huge
in a multiplayer game. But I bet it feels just as great playing multiplayer. I don't know if it's harder or not. Can't speak to that because I haven't done it. Yep. And I can't speak to solo play because I don't play a ton of solo games, and if I did, it would probably be Mage Knight. So,
which I haven't played yet.
So, anyways.
Yep. So I think that's about it. We both liked it. Give it a shot. Leave us any comments, questions. We'll clear anything up if you have questions about it. Hopefully, we explained everything well enough while we were playing.
Yep. I don't think we made it. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
I don't think we made any gameplay mistakes intentionally. We might have slipped up on something, but I think for the most part you guys saw pretty good mechanics that game. Hopefully we didn't, screw the pooch on something huge.
And other than that, subscribe if you haven't. We churn out these videos for all kinds of games. And if you ask for games, then we'll put them higher up on the list.
Yeah, so. We're trying to get to Battleborn. We were the creators asked us to do that. It's a little more. It's not quite as easy to pick up. We need a little bit of study time and run through and hopefully get another person for that one because it is a big area type of thing, and we feel like it would be. Actually, they even said that probably 3 would be a little bit better to get a game in. And
then we still have Stone Age, which we want to do more than 2 people for that one, I think, as well. So, that's stuff coming up. But yeah, just any suggestions, we'll put up to the top of the list. We have our own stuff that we want to get to as well.
Which we never do because we keep getting to more stuff. But whatever.
Yeah. So
there's plenty of games.
Yeah. Hopefully you like us and stick with us.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Boards and booze and boards with Mickey and Jeb.